There is a haunting, deeply emotional ache in looking back at the sunlit, white picket innocence of our childhood, only to realize that the pristine world we once clung to has slowly dissolved into the shadows of time. For generations, Leave It to Beaver was never just a comforting television escape. It was a beautiful, bittersweet sanctuary of youth, laughter, and pure-hearted memories that permanently shaped our collective souls. Yet, as the laugh track faded and the cameras stopped rolling in Mayfield, a far more unyielding destiny was unfolding in the real world, one where time altered the lives of our beloved neighborhood idols in ways no one could have ever predicted. Looking back at these iconic faces today reveals a profoundly moving landscape of memory, where a precious few resilient survivors still carry the fading warmth of those golden days, while some of the show's most cherished, foundational pillars have already taken their heartbreaking final bow into the eternal twilight. In this cinematic, deeply reflective retrospective, we will step past the Hollywood nostalgia to uncover the real names, true ages, and private post-show realities of the entire foundational cast. Please, try to watch this video until the very end, because the devastating truth waiting for us at the close of this countdown is exactly what will break your heart the most. 1. Jeri Mathers. Leave It to Beaver gave television one of its most beloved childhood faces, and that face was Theodore Beaver Cleaver. Jeri Mathers, born on June 2, 1948, became a symbol of post-war American family life when he began playing Beaver in 1957. By 2026, he is 78 years old, alive, and still remembered as the curious, mischievous boy whose everyday adventures became a treasured part of television history. Memories of Jeri Mathers are like a slow-motion film, imbued with the somber hues of a turbulent era, yet containing an extraordinary vitality. There was a time in his life when he faced a life-threatening challenge from a kidney disease, a silent but cruel ailment that gradually drained his energy, severely impairing his body's excretory and blood-filtering functions, and placing immense mental pressure on the fragile boundary between acute functional declines. Yet, hidden beneath that fragile exterior was an iron will. Jeri Mathers silently endured the darkest days in his hospital bed, bravely facing rigorous treatment regimens. By 2026, his enduring artistic legacy leaves an estimated net worth around $3 million, choosing a meaningful, grounded lifestyle over a flashy garage of loud hypercars. His true wealth is his permanent, affectionate place in our collective memory. Tattoo Hugh Beaumont. In Leave It to Beaver, Ward Cleaver is fatherhood wrapped in calm authority, a working man, a husband, a moral guide, and the quiet center of a home where every childhood mistake could still become a lesson. Hugh Beaumont, born February 16, 1910, played Ward from 1957 to 1963. He was 47 when the series began. He died on May 14, 1982, at the age of 72. Liver disease is an extremely cruel ordeal, wearing down a woman's body day by day through painful swelling, sleepless nights, and skin gradually turning yellow with illness. For Hugh Beaumont, the final years of his life were a silent, arduous battle for survival, where he had to endure a series of rigorous treatments and prolonged intravenous infusions. The fear of separation and the constant physical pain threatened to engulf him, yet hidden beneath his small, frail frame was an iron will. By 2026, Hugh Beaumont holds an eternal, irreplaceable position in the hearts of television purists worldwide, leaving an estimated net worth of $1.5 million at his passing. Completely shunning the ostentatious vanity of modern luxury car collections, his true wealth remains beautifully preserved in his unique, gentle fatherly guidance and the comforting reruns that still bring families together. 3. Barbara Billingsley. In Leave It to Beaver, June Cleaver was grace wrapped in pearls, a mother, a homemaker, a quiet moral center, and the gentle voice that made the Cleaver house feel safe. Barbara Billingsley, born December 22, 1915, played June from 1957 to 1963. By 2026, she would have been 110, but she passed away on October 16, 2010, at age 94. Barbara Billingsley secretly battled severe acute leukemia, a terrifying cancer challenge that caused physical exhaustion, bruising, and severe debilitation during the final days of filming. A detail that truly moved and saddened fans was her extraordinary courage. Instead of letting the terminal illness weaken her artistic spirit, Barbara Billingsley relied on immense inner strength to complete the final emotional scenes while quietly enduring painful blood transfusions between takes. Tragically, despite successful temporary remissions and a fierce will to live, she passed away from sudden complications. When she passed away, Barbara Billingsley left behind a well-deserved, hard-earned net worth of approximately $2 million. She guided her magnificent legacy with graceful simplicity, leaving a wealth of love and cinematic history rather than a flashy, loud collection of modern supercars. 4. Tony Dow. In Leave It to Beaver, Wally Cleaver was the bridge between childhood and adulthood, the dependable older brother every young viewer wished they had. Tony Dow, born on April 13, 1945, brought warmth, patience, and quiet wisdom to the role from 1957 to 1963. When Tony passed away on July 27, 2022, he was 77 years old. For many fans, his passing felt like losing a familiar face from their own childhood. Behind that perfectly confident, supportive on-screen persona lay a deeply resilient soul who fought a lifelong, invisible battle. For decades, Tony endured severe clinical depression, a detail that leaves many viewers profoundly moved. Edom Lang channeled that internal darkness into a public mission, becoming one of the first major stars to openly speak about mental health. In his final years, he faced a cruel diagnosis of liver cancer, passing away peacefully under hospice care while his devoted family protected his final moments. At his passing, his monumental artistic legacy left an estimated net worth around $4 million, choosing a meaningful, deeply artistic lifestyle over a flashy collection of loud hypercars. His true wealth is his permanent, affectionate place in our hearts. 5. Ken Osmond. In Leave It to Beaver, Eddie Haskell is mischief wrapped in a polite smile. The boy who praised Mrs. Cleaver, then whispered trouble the moment adults looked away. Ken Osmond, born June 7, 1943, played Eddie from 1957 to 1963. He was only 14 when he began. He died in Los Angeles on May 18, 2020, at the age of 76. Mai's life was a series of peaceful days, always devoted to nurturing her family and showering her children and grandchildren with love. Ken Osmond was always a strong emotional support for the whole family, bringing laughter and warmth to their small home. However, a cruel tragedy struck on a fateful day when a sudden traffic accident mercilessly robbed him of his right to live and to be loved. Despite the doctor's best efforts to save him and the family's constant prayers during those agonizing hours in the emergency room, due to the severity of his injuries, Ken Osmond peacefully breathed his last, leaving behind shock and immeasurable grief for those left behind. By 2026, Ken Osmond holds an eternal, irreplaceable position in the hearts of television purists worldwide, leaving an estimated net worth of $1.5 million at his passing. Completely shunning the ostentatious vanity of modern luxury car collections, his true wealth remains beautifully preserved. 6. Sue Randall. In Leave It to Beaver, Miss Alice Landers was kindness standing at the front of the classroom, patient, graceful, and quietly trusted by Beaver Cleaver and a generation of children watching at home. Sue Randall, born Marion Burnside Randall on October 8, 1935, played Miss Landers from 1958 to 1962. By 2026, she would have been 90, but she passed away on October 26, 1984, at only 49. Memories of Sue Randall, like a slow-motion film, evoke the somber hues of a fiery past, now concluding with immeasurable sorrow. This young woman faced the cruel ordeal of a severe stomach ailment, excruciating spasms, serious ulcer complications, and physical exhaustion that could no longer bear, creating immense mental and physical pressure in her final months. Yet, hidden beneath her fragile appearance until her last breath was an iron will. Sue Randall silently endured the darkest chapters on her sickbed, bravely battling the disease until her strength failed, and then peacefully passed away. When she passed away, Sue Randall left behind a well-deserved, hard-earned net worth of approximately $1 million. She guided her magnificent legacy with elegant, old-school simplicity, leaving a wealth of love and cinematic history rather than a flashy, loud collection of modern supercars. 7. Rusty Stevens. Leave It to Beaver gave childhood a mischievous little shadow, and that shadow was Larry Mondello. Rusty Stevens, born on November 25, 1948, became memorable as Beaver's chubby, nervous, and often troublemaking best friend from 1957 onward. By 2026, he is 77 years old. Larry was appetite, fear, loyalty, and innocent chaos. The boy who could lead Beaver into trouble, then look terrified when consequences arrived. Memories of Rusty Stevens are like a slow-motion film, imbued with the somber hues of a turbulent era, yet containing an extraordinary vitality. There was a time in his life when he faced the grave challenge of liver disease, a silent killer that impaired detoxification function, leaving him exhausted, pale, and burdened with immense mental pressure on the brink of dangerous complications. Rusty Stevens silently endured the darkest days in his hospital bed, bravely facing rigorous treatment regimens. By 2026, his nostalgic artistic legacy leaves an estimated net worth around $500,000. Choosing a meaningful, deeply quiet suburban existence over a flashy garage of loud hypercars, his true wealth is his permanent, affectionate place in our collective memory. 8. Frank Bank. In Leave It to Beaver, Clarence Lumpy Rutherford is boyhood trouble wrapped in an oversized smile, Wally's clumsy friend, Eddie Haskell's partner in mischief, and the kind of neighborhood bully who somehow still felt familiar. Frank Bank, born April 12, 1942, played Lumpy from 1958 to 1963. He was 15 when he first appeared. He died on April 13, 2013, one day after his 71st birthday. Behind that famously dim-witted on-screen persona, Frank's final years were heavily clouded by rapid physical decline and severe illness. In a tragic reality that deeply touches the heart, he spent his final months fighting a grueling, painful battle against cancer, quietly processing his failing health away from the shallow vanity of the Hollywood spotlight. By 2026, Frank Bank holds an eternal, irreplaceable position in the hearts of pop culture purists worldwide, leaving an estimated net worth of $2 million at his passing. Completely shunning the ostentatious vanity of modern luxury car collections, his true wealth remains beautifully preserved in his unique comedic legacy and the comforting reruns that still bring families together. 9. Stephen Talbot. In Leave It to Beaver, Gilbert Bates was mischief with a schoolboy smile. Beaver's friend, a teller of tall tales, and the kind of boy who could turn an ordinary afternoon into trouble. Stephen Talbot, born February 28, 1949, played Gilbert from 1959 to 1963. By 2026, he's 77 years old, alive, and remembered as one of Beaver's most familiar childhood companions. Leukemia is an incredibly harsh challenge, wearing down a woman's body day by day through high-dose chemotherapy, prolonged fevers, and a severe drop in platelets that leaves her body covered in bruises. For Stephen Talbot, it was a long, arduous journey, with the hospital becoming her home, isolated in a sterile room to avoid infection, and constantly undergoing excruciatingly painful bone marrow aspirations. The fear of separation and the physical pain constantly threatened to engulf her, yet hidden beneath her small, frail frame was an iron will. Stephen Talbot patiently endured it all. As of 2026, Stephen Talbot commands a well-deserved, hard-earned net worth of approximately $1.5 million. He guides his magnificent legacy with elegant, intellectual simplicity, focusing his resources on meaningful media production and educational foundations, rather than a loud, flashy collection of modern supercars. 10. Jeri Weil. Leave It to Beaver gave childhood classrooms a sharp little thorn, and that thorn was Judy Hensler. Jeri Weil, born on May 15, 1948, became memorable as Beaver's bossy, tattling classmate from 1957 onward. By 2026, she's 77 years old. Judy was confidence, mischief, and childish cruelty, wrapped in a neat schoolgirl smile, the girl who could make Beaver's simple world feel suddenly complicated. The memory of Jeri Weil, like a slow-motion film, carries the somber hues of a fiery era, yet harbors extraordinary vitality. There was a chapter in her life when she faced the most perilous and cruel challenge from a pancreatic disease, an organ deep within the abdomen, where acute damage or inflammation causes excruciating pain, destroys the digestive system, and places immense mental pressure on the fragile boundary between life and death. Yet, hidden beneath that fragile exterior was an iron will. Jeri Weil silently endured the darkest days in her hospital bed, bravely facing the sterile emergency rooms. By 2026, her nostalgic artistic legacy leaves an estimated net worth around $500,000, choosing a meaningful, deeply quiet existence over a flashy garage of loud hypercars. Her true wealth is her permanent, affectionate place in our collective memory. 11. Diane Brewster. In Leave It to Beaver, Miss Canfield is childhood wrapped in chalk dust, Beaver's first gentle teacher, a calm classroom presence, and the woman who made school feel both frightening and warm. Diane Brewster, born March 11, 1931, played Miss Canfield during the show's early years. She was 26 when the series began in 1957. She died on November 12, 1991, at the age of 60. Behind that famously serene classroom smile, Diane's final chapter was heavily clouded by a quiet, agonizing battle with chronic illness. In a poignant reality that deeply touches the heart, her life was cut short by complications from heart failure, privately processing her rapid physical decline away from the shallow vanity of the Hollywood spotlight. Rather than succumbing to bitterness, she faced her failing body with the exact same quiet resilience and dignity that defined her beloved television persona, leaving fans deeply moved by how gracefully she carried her invisible health burdens until her peaceful departure. By 2026, Diane Brewster holds an eternal, highly revered position in the hearts of classic television purists worldwide, leaving an estimated net worth of $2 million at her passing. Completely shunning the ostentatious vanity of modern luxury car collections. 12. Richard Deacon. In Leave It to Beaver, Fred Rutherford was pride wrapped in office manners, Ward Cleaver's co-worker, Lumpy's father, and a man whose pompous little speeches made Mayfield feel both funny and real. Richard Deacon, born May 14, 1922, played Fred from 1957 to 1963. By 2026, he would have been 103, but he died on August 8, 1984 at age 62. Richard Deacon secretly battled acute heart failure, a terrifying cardiovascular challenge that caused sudden shortness of breath, chronic pain, and severe physical debilitation during the final days of filming. A detail that truly moved and saddened fans was his extraordinary courage. Instead of letting the terminal illness weaken his artistic spirit, Richard Deacon relied on immense inner strength to complete the final emotional scenes, while the emergency medical team waited anxiously just outside the frame. When a sudden, devastating hypertensive heart disease led to a fatal aortic aneurysm in 1984, Richard Deacon left behind an estate valued at approximately $1.5 million. He guided his magnificent legacy with elegant old-school simplicity, leaving a wealthy testament of cinematic joy rather than a flashy, loud collection of modern supercars.